recipe for great food is simple. Make it fresh. Wings to go in Greenville, where every order is a custom order made with fresh ingredients. Wings to go, 7818 Wesley Street in Greenville. Simply great wings.
Need a part for the right price? Look for that red and blue sign. Henley Auto Supply at 1510 Stonewall. Over 800,000 CarQuest parts to choose from. Domestic, European, and Asian parts. Henley Auto Supply at 903-455-1969. 455-1969. Henley Auto Supply has the right part to keep your vehicle running. And backed by the best hometown service. Henley Auto Supply. Great people, great products, great prices. Henley Auto Supply and CarQuest.
Dial up here. Okay, it's a little late. I'm going to call this work session to order, and the first item to be discussed is land use assumptions and capital improvement plan. So, yeah. I don't think your mic's hooked up.
Okay. Oh, perfect. Okay. So yeah, we're going through the impact fee analysis process, and Clemmy Horn is here to provide a presentation on what an impact fee is, the process, the capital improvement projects that have been identified based upon future growth, and also the land use assumptions. So I'll just give it to them so they can provide you with the presentation.
Good evening, Council. My name is Joey Helmberger with Kimley Horn and Associates, and I'm going to introduce Brandon Forsyth, who will actually make the presentation for us tonight. Thank you.
Good evening, Council. My name is Brandon Forsyth with Kimley Horn. I helped out on the roadway side of the impact fee study, but we'll be going over the land use assumptions and project plan for water, wastewater, and the roadway components. The first slide you'll see here, we're going to go over some basics pretty quickly. So as far as impact fees and what they are, it's a one-time fee assessed to recover infrastructure cost to serve new development, and it's governed by Chapter 395 of the Texas Local Government Code. Why do municipalities use impact fees? It provides for additional funding tool for infrastructure systems to facilitate growth, and it allows for a balanced funding combination that recognizes the benefits of growth within the city. Going over some cost and what's recoverable versus not. So the recoverable cost listed out below there are construction, planning, surveying, legal services and engineering, land acquisitions and associated cost, capital improvement planning and or financial cost, projected interest and finance cost, and then local share of state and federal roadway facilities. On the not recoverable side, it's any capital improvements that you're going to see on our project plan list that aren't identified. Operation and maintenance cost, any improvements to existing deficiencies. So anything that is on our list has to be increasing capacity on the roadway, water, or wastewater system. And then the administration and operative costs for the city and non-project list debt service. As I mentioned, we'll be going over the land use assumptions. One thing that pairs into that is the service areas. So you'll see there are different service area boundaries for the water and wastewater study and the roadway study. There's different requirements by state law. And then the impact fee project list, we'll go over quickly the water, wastewater, and roadway project list we have come up with. Water and wastewater. So the service area is the area to be served by the impact fee project list. With water and wastewater, we're looking at your ETJ boundary. So that's going to be shown in this next exhibit here. So it's a little bit tough to see, but the gold and white dotted lines are your city limit lines, and then that black outline there with the blue shade is your ETJ, and that's your service area for the water and wastewater study. Now we get into our 10-year growth projections. The land use assumptions are based on infrastructure demands. So this following table is a land use assumptions table. You see on the left-hand side, we have our service areas. Service areas 1 through 3 correspond with the service areas identified on the roadway study. Water and wastewater can look at the ETJ in the area between the city limits and that. Roadway is confined to the ETJ. So we'll go over this table again on the roadway side, but within the city limits, we project about 3,900 residential units to develop over the next 10 years and about 1.785 million square feet of non-residential use over the next 10 years. Then on the water and wastewater side for that study with our land use assumptions, within the ETJ, we project about another 500 residential units to build out and 700,000 square feet of non-residential use. So this is our impact fee project plan list for the water impact fees. We met with city staff and did a work session and identified the projects you see here. Water lines, pump stations, lift stations, those are the types of projects identified, and those are listed out. And there should be a map pairing with this that's a little bit more blown up for you guys to look at and review. And this is the wastewater impact fee project list. So again, another city work session to identify the projects that we identified here, sewer lines, things of that sort. Now on the roadway side, well, as I discussed, the city or the service areas are a little bit different on the roadway side. We have to take into account different requirements per 395. So again, it's still the same service area idea of the area to be served by the impact fee project plan. The roadway service areas are limited to 6 miles, and that can be interpreted differently, but the idea is it's a 6-mile trip length that we're gonna be looking at. This ends up breaking out into 3 service areas for the roadway impact fees. And then again, we are bounded only by the city limits for roadway. We cannot extend into the ETJ, so we can't account for growth there, and we can't account for projects in the ETJ, only within your city limits. One quick note on the roadway side is any money that's collected within each service area has to be spent within that service area. You can't collect money in service area 1 and spend it in service area 3. So here's our service areas for the roadway side. You see we have service areas 1, 2, and 3 here, bounded primarily by 30 and 69 as our service area break lines. This meets the 6-mile requirement per 395, and then you're also confined by the city limits in the black thicker line there. Again, the land use assumptions, they establish infrastructure demands. Impact fees have to look at a 10-year planning window. That's all we can look at. You can't look beyond that. So this is that same growth table we went over for water and wastewater, but only showing service areas 1 through 3. So our corporate limits, that's all we're accounting for on the roadway side. That same 3,900 residential units anticipated to build out within the city over the next 10 years, and about 1.785 million square feet of non-residential use. This is based on us identifying vacant land, known developments on the horizon, input from city staff, and city growth trends. This is our Service Area 1 impact fee project plan for the roadway impact fees. On the roadway side, our kind of ultimate plan is the master thoroughfare plan. So we look at anything that's not built out per the ultimate classification in the thoroughfare plan. So say you have a 2-lane undivided roadway that's built and the classification calls for an ultimate 4-lane undivided road. That could be considered a widening project. Those are denoted in the blue lines here. For something that's new, so nothing's in the ground today, brand new greenfield project, that's a red line shown here. Those are our 2 project types for the roadway side, so new and widening eligible projects. Once again, we identified a universe of projects approach here, met with the city, and determined what potentially could be feasible over the next 10 years to come up with this project plan. The following lists out the 29 projects we have identified in Service Area 1. It gives you the impact fee class, it gives you the project name or the road name, the limits to and from, and then a % in service area. What that is it's assumed that If it's within the service area entirely, 100% of that project. So 100% of the cost and 100% of the capacity being supplied by that project can be accounted for. Whereas if you're bordering, say, the city limit line, so you have a project that's on the city limit line and the ETJ line, the idea behind that is the center line of the roadway is the city limit line, so only half of that project's included. So you'll see a couple of these projects where instead of 100% in the city limits, it's 50% accounted for. You account for half the cost and half of the supply. Same process here in Service Area 2. We identified a universe of projects approach, met with the city, came up with what would be realistic over the next 10 years to be accommodating for, and came up with this project plan here for Service Area 2. Lists out the 25 projects, again, impact fee class, the limits, the status, and the percent in service area. Same process for Service Area 3. Used the master thoroughfare plan to come up with an ultimate plan, trimmed it down based on projected growth within the city and what would serve development for the future. And this is the Service Area 3 impact fee project plan. Lists the projects out 1 through 27 again, same thing. Impact fee class, project, limits, percent in service area, and the type of project. We're gonna get into the schedule now. So today we're just working on a work session right now, going over the land use assumptions and capital improvements, or impact fee project plan. In the next meeting in January, we will adopt an ordinance to set the March 8th meeting for the public hearing. It'll essentially be something similar to this, where we're gonna go over the land use assumptions again, or impact fee project plans again on the March 8th hearing. Hopefully adopt those through an ordinance, and then set another ordinance on that March 8th hearing to set the impact fees, actual proposed collection rate and schedule on April 12th would be that meeting.
Okay.
That's all we have right now. Do you guys have any questions?
Are there any questions? It's a lot of material.
Yes, yeah, we just to try to make it a little bit easier on you, I think you should have bigger blown up project maps provided in that packet, so you guys can go over those, look at the project specifics listed out in each service area, water, wastewater, roadway, and kind of look at those, see if you have any comments on that, but. Thank you for the presentation. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Real quick, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Can you talk real quick about, I'm looking at the next steps, the Capital Improvements Advisory Committee. Who is that? Is that staff or is that?
That's already been appointed. That was appointed, I think, back in November of last year.
Yeah, that's my committee.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we haven't completed that yet. I'll get with someone about it.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Sometime when people.
Anything else y'all got?
Any other questions for the gentlemen? Thank you very much.
Thanks, y'all. Appreciate your time.
Okay. Victoria, you have anything? Okay. Okay, so I guess at this point we'll go into executive session. And we'll be back at 6 o'clock. So.
The recipe for great food is simple. Make it fresh. Wings to go in Greenville, where every order is a custom order made with fresh ingredients. Wings to go, 7818 Wesley Street in Greenville. Simply great wings.
Need a part for the right price? Look for that red and blue sign. Henley Auto Supply at 1510 Stonewall. Over 800,000 CarQuest parts to choose from. Domestic, European, and Asian parts. Henley Auto Supply at 903-455-1969. 455-1969. Henley Auto Supply has the right parts to keep your vehicle running and backed by the best hometown service. Henley Auto Supply. Great people, great products, great prices. Henley Auto Supply and CarQuest.